News of Vince McMahon returning to WWE's board of directors is everything that anybody, any wrestling fan, any wrestling pundit, any wrestling website on social media can talk about. Because a few months ago, literally just a few months ago, maybe even 6 months ago, Mr. McMahon himself, the owner of WWE, the legendary character on television, and his professional life as well, he came out in front of the WWE Universe and he sent it out via social media. He was not only retiring as Mr. McMahon, the character on TV, he was also retiring from professional business and anything having to do with WWE. And back then, Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon took over as co-CEOs, of WWE. Triple H assumed the role, which he still has to this day, as far as we all know. Triple H assumed the role of corporate creative officer, CCO, I believe that's the terminology. So now Triple H is running the creative and everything having to do in that area with WWE. So a new era had started in World Wrestling Entertainment, something we hadn't seen since the late 70s, early 80s when Vince Sr. ran the company. And we've had a bunch of ups and downs in terms of programming with WWE, with Hunter Hearst Helmsley at the helm. Not that much has changed, just the person in charge of creative changed. But just a few days ago, there were a lot of rumors starting to circle over the fact that Vince McMahon was returning, or was trying to force himself to return to active WWE board of directors duties. And, all of that came true with the fact that he was once again named chairman of the board. He once again started participating in all decisions made with WWE, and the rumor was that he was coming back to help sell the company, and those are still rumors. About 24 to 48 hours ago, there was a very, very strong rumor that just sent shockwaves through social media amongst hardcore WWE and wrestling fans, with the expectation that the Saudi Arabian government had bought WWE. And those rumors were later shot down by Ariel Helwani. We haven't gotten any official news on WWE's sale or intention to sell, but the rumor is still there. The rumor is that WWE is still up for sale. And there are a few companies out there, Disney, NBC, amongst many others, that could be interested in buying the number one leader in sports entertainment. But we'll get to that when that does happen, and when WWE makes their intentions clear on wanting to sell the company. Until then, there are still rumors, so we focus on the fact. And the facts are that Vince McMahon is back at the head of WWE. He's currently running all behind the scenes operations of WWE. Fact: Stephanie McMahon recently sent out her letter of resignation as co-CEO of WWE. If you recall, a few months ago, she took a leave of absence. She came back. Now, unfortunately, for a lot of wrestling fans, she is completely out. She offered up her letter of resignation, which a lot of fans are taking into account and taking as facts, that WWE is indeed being sold, and that Vince McMahon forced Stephanie McMahon out so he could force himself in. But like I said earlier in this video, Triple H, as far as we know, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque is still in charge of creative in WWE. For now, there haven't been any reports, any rumors, nothing circling on wrestling news websites about a change in that direction just yet. But obviously, the phrase, anything can happen in the World Wrestling Federation, in this case the World Wrestling Entertainment. So we'll just have to wait and see. Now, in terms of Vince McMahon coming back, in terms of WWE being sold, in terms of Stephanie McMahon being, or making it a public knowledge that she has resigned from her position and is leaving WWE. I think this is very simple to analyze. I think this is a very strategic way to deal with things, because a lot of wrestling fans on social media have been very vocal. They are the hardcore wrestling fans out there. They have been very vocal about the fact that they do not want Vince McMahon back in the fold in WWE, and it's all because of the scandals released by the Wall Street Journal around mid last year. You all know what happened. Vince McMahon was accused of abusing several female employees over decades running the WWE. So the Wall Street Journal published that, and Vince McMahon was forced to retire, of course. Now he is back, and the reason he is back is because WWE is trying, or the heads of the company of WWE are trying to sell the company, because that's the only reason, that is the main reason as to why Vince McMahon is coming back. That is the only way Vince McMahon could come back to WWE, to active WWE roles, because he is the majority stakeholder. He is, I believe, he is still the head of the creative of the board of directors. So with that said, if you're going to sell something that he is a majority stockholder in, just like with any public entity out there, just like with any other publicly owned company out there, you notify stockholder, of your intentions, because it is illegal for a publicly traded company to be sold or to start discussions of a sale without notifying each shareholder. Even if the shareholder has just one share to his name, he or she is also notified of the intention to sell the company. Now, why are they wanting to sell WWE? We don't know. They haven't made that clear. I have my own theories. I will get to them right now, very soon. But as far as Vince McMahon coming back just for that case, I think that makes very logical sense. I think, I know a lot of fans don't agree with it, but it's something that does need to happen, because Vince McMahon ran the company for decades. Vince McMahon has incredible expertise in business relationships. That is a given. Take your personal opinion of the guy. I know it's very hard for fans to do such a thing. But you just have to. And you have to see it from the point of view from the board of directors, from the stockholders themselves. Bringing back Vince McMahon to help sell the company is helpful to them, and it's not that big of a hit to the stock price, because the rumors are that WWE is being sold. So even if Vince came back, he's coming back to sell the company. He's not coming back to run the company. If he was coming back to run the company, that'd be a completely different story. Hell, it might happen later down the line if they are sold and they appoint Vince McMahon to run the WWE back. Then we'll talk about that situation. But that's another hypothetical situation. So with that out of the way, a lot of fans are insulted. They are frustrated. They are pissed off over the fact that Vince McMahon has forced Stephanie McMahon out of the WWE, and they're afraid that she might be next. My theory, my current stance on this subject is we do not know that for sure. We don't. Because they haven't made that clear. Because they haven't discussed that publicly with a media outlet or someone else. Alright, so we don't know that for sure. For all we know, and I know this is just me spitting out a scenario, but for all we know, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, along with Nick Khan, talked it out amongst themselves and said, we want to sell WWE. We do not see ourselves running this company for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line. We do not see ourselves running this company spending 80, 100 plus hours a week in WWE. We don't see ourselves. So we just have to make that intention clear. We're open to sell WWE to the best and highest bidder. And thus, we have to bring back Vince McMahon, obviously, because he is the majority stockholder. And the reason I say this is because not too long ago, Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Paul Levesque had the biggest scare of his life, literally. And he discussed this in an interview with Ariel Helwani about how he almost died. And you can go back on YouTube, right here on YouTube. You can go back and check that portion of the interview. I recommend listening to the entire thing. It's a very, very good interview. But basically, just on that fact alone, I could see why they would want to sell WWE, or why they would want to not be an active part of WWE anymore. Because, fortunately, I have been lucky enough to have not gone through or anything like similar to what Paul went through. So, thank goodness for that. But I would assume that once you have a scare like that, your priorities change. For both Paul and Stephanie. They've been married for almost 2 decades at this point. They have, as far as I recall, 3 daughters who are still very young, who they still want to spend time with. And so they just had this recent health scare. Biggest health scare of their entire life for the entire family. So it would make sense for their priorities to change. Oh, I don't want to run WWE anymore. I've made enough money to be okay. And if we sell the company, I'll make even more money on top of that. And then I'll keep myself busy doing something else, running some other business ventures. But I can only assume that Paul and Stephanie's priorities now are to spend as much time with the family as possible. Not because of any time lapse situation, nothing, no. I'm saying just in general, just something like that changes your priorities completely, and I can understand that. So now we go to the subject of the wrestling fans on social media. They're outraged. They do not want the WWE sold to the Saudi Arabian government. And trust me, I do not want that at all myself. No, I would rather them get sold to Disney or Fox or NBC or someone that is a much better, much trustworthy, less blood money company. But that is not in our control. So from the wrestling fans' perspective, all I'm saying is, yeah, you're looking at this from a very surface perspective. Stephanie McMahon is out of WWE. Triple H might be next. We don't know. Vince McMahon is back. He is running the company once again in every aspect except creative, as far as we know. And there are rumors that the company could be sold in the very near future. And the strongest bidder, the worst bidder, would be the Saudi Arabian government. Those are the facts, actually not facts, obviously, the hypotheses, the details that are being rumored and reported so far in wrestling news websites. And with those details online and in the wrestling fans' mind, wrestling fans have really gotten on social media and said, well, if this happens, Vince McMahon is back and they are sold to the Saudi Arabian government, then we will boycott WWE. And I've never been a fan of that because WWE is entertainment. And entertainment is just there. That's not something you should boycott. It's not politics. It's not medicine. It's not social problems. There are much bigger things to boycott or support than entertainment. So all I'm saying is just wait and see what happens with WWE. Now, as far as Vince McMahon returning, a lot of fans are complaining about him returning. Well, he has to. If the company's being sold or is being prepared to sell, he has to. He's the majority stockholder. But once again, what else would you expect from Vince McMahon, from the character, from the real-life character of Mr. McMahon? Because we all know, all the wrestling fans know, that Vincent Kennedy McMahon was not going to be forced out of his own company. That was not going to be his last footprint on his legacy. And he's back. Are we happy? I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it as long as the company is sold and he's not running things anymore. Because I do believe he did need to retire. But it's very, very Vince McMahon-like for him to come back, take over, and leave on his own terms. So with that said, we'll see what happens in the next few days, in the next few months, because this is all happening in the timeline of 6 to 7 months. This is all happening very, very fast. For all we know, by June, WWE might be sold. Who knows? But we'll keep you updated here on the ACB Wrestling Talk YouTube channel. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to comment and subscribe to the channel. I have been Alexis Carrillo. You can follow me on all social media. And we'll see what goes down. So, until next time.